The Galactic Federation was nothing if not pragmatic. With its thousands of member species spanning countless star systems, it prided itself on solving problems with cold efficiency. And yet, Xiphos 13 had defied every expectation. A planet rich in resources, strategically vital and utterly untamable. 3 elite exploration teams, comprising the best-trained beings in the known galaxy, had landed on its surface, and none had lasted more than 72 hours. Highly advanced life support systems failed mysteriously. Apex predators ambushed with near-supernatural cunning, and seismic activity reshaped landscapes faster than engineers could build. The Federation's finest had been reduced to frantic distress signals and panicked evacuations. Xiphos 13 was a planet that defied control, and so, with thinly veiled desperation, the Federation turned to its least conventional option: humans. Captain Jessica Hardcase Carter leaned back in her chair, boots propped against the armrest, as the mission briefing droned on in the Federation Council chamber. The circular hall brimmed with skeptical alien dignitaries, all eyes fixed on the 4 humans seated at the central table. "Let me get this straight," she said, cutting off the Monari diplomat mid-sentence. "You've sent your best and brightest. They all got their backsides handed to them. And now you want us to go in because—" The Monari twitched, their bioluminescent skin dimming in annoyance. "Because, regrettably, human physiology appears uniquely suited to surviving in high-risk environments. Your bodies adapt under duress, and your psychological threshold for acceptable danger is disturbingly high." Jessica smirked. "We call that having a pulse." Dr. Mark Dawson, the team's designated scientist and problem solver, adjusted his glasses and murmured, "Translation, they think we're just crazy enough to make it work." Beside him, Jake Lucky Reynolds, the team's wildcard and resident thrill-seeker, grinned. "Can't say they're wrong." Jessica exhaled. "Fine, we'll do it. But if we pull this off, Earth gets full access to Xiphos 13's research data." The Federation Council erupted in murmurs, but the deal was struck. The humans would go where others had failed. 48 hours later, their dropship screamed through Xiphos 13's atmosphere, turbulence rattling the hull. The planet's surface loomed below, a mix of jagged mountains, dense bioluminescent, forests, and vast shifting sand plains that seemed to ripple as though alive. "Approaching LZ," the pilot called out over the comms. "Gravity's a little heavier than Earth standard. Watch your step out there." Jessica glanced at her team. Mark was muttering about atmospheric anomalies, scrolling through data. Jake was grinning like a kid on Christmas, fingers drumming against his harness. Emily Hayes, the idealist and dreamer of the group, was gazing out the viewport in quiet awe. "It's beautiful," she murmured. Jessica followed her gaze. Beautiful? Maybe. But beautiful things had a habit of hiding the sharpest teeth. The dropship touched down with a muted thud. The humans stepped onto the surface of Xiphos 13, their boots sinking slightly into the dark, strangely textured ground. The first alien teams had landed here too, but their footprints had been erased by shifting terrain. "All right," Jessica said, scanning the surroundings. "Rule number 1, assume everything wants to kill you." "Comforting," Mark muttered, adjusting his equipment. "There's an electrical disturbance in the atmosphere. Could be why your fancy tech kept shorting out." Jake kicked a nearby rock. It wobbled, and then scurried away on tiny, insect-like legs. "Well, that's horrifying." A deep, low rumble rolled through the air. Not thunder. Something else. Emily knelt, brushing her gloved fingers against the ground. "Captain, this planet is breathing." Jessica's gut tightened, a warning instinct honed from a lifetime of near misses. "We move. Now." They barely made it 100 yards before the storm hit. The wind howled, screaming through the trees. The sky darkened as needle-like raindrops, sharper than glass, began to fall. The ground trembled beneath them. Jake let out a whoop, dodging the razor rain. "Oh, hell yeah. Now this is a real mission." Jessica shoved him forward. "Less celebrating, more surviving." Mark was already at work, jabbing at his wrist console. "The storm's electromagnetic field is interfering with our comms. But," he paused, eyes lighting up, "I can use that interference to our advantage. If I tweak the frequency, we can piggyback off the storm's charge and create a localized shield." Jessica gave him a look. "In English?" Mark grinned. "I can MacGyver us a force field using the planet's own messed-up weather." "Then do it." With Emily's help, Mark repurposed a section of their gear, adjusting the settings until a faint shimmer formed around them. The wind and rain veered off course, repelled by the makeshift barrier. The aliens watching from orbit saw none of this. All they saw were 4 humans trudging forward through a storm that had sent their own teams running for their lives. Inside the shield, Jake laughed. "We should charge extra for this." Jessica let herself smile. Just a little. They weren't. Just surviving. They were thriving. As the storm faded, the team reached a rocky outcrop. Jessica motioned for them to stop. "All right, we make camp here. Tomorrow we push for the lost Federation beacon." Emily glanced at the sky, now eerily calm. "You think the worst is over?" Jessica looked at the alien landscape around them. The trees had shifted positions. The sand dunes had rearranged. The planet itself was moving when they weren't looking. "No," she said, voice quiet. "I think we're just getting started." From orbit, the alien observers watched in silence. For the first time, they began to understand why Earth was classified as a death world, and they wondered if, perhaps, they had made a mistake inviting humans into the storm. The storm's fury had barely abated when the team resumed its precarious trek across Xiphos 13's hostile expanse. The terrain, ever shifting beneath their feet, was as capricious as it was lethal. Captain Jessica Hardcase Carter led the way, her steady gaze cutting through the lingering haze of the tempest. Every step felt deliberate, a silent challenge thrown at a planet that had already devoured so many who had underestimated it. "Keep your eyes peeled," Jessica commanded, her voice low but resolute. "This isn't a stroll through a park. This is survival." Behind her, Dr. Mark Dawson fumbled with his scanner, which now picked up erratic energy readings from the ground. "There's something off about the soil," he murmured, brow furrowed as he adjusted his makeshift filtration device. "It's like the ground itself is alive and trying to break down everything it touches." Jake, lucky. Reynolds snorted at the comment as he kicked aside a cluster of bioluminescent fungi that writhed like nervous creatures. "Sounds like Mother Nature's throwing us a tantrum," he joked, though his eyes betrayed a spark of concern. Even Emily Hayes, whose wonder at the planet's eerie beauty had been evident earlier, now scanned the horizon with a mix of awe and apprehension. The path ahead was littered with hazards. Jagged rock formations jutted out at unpredictable angles, and deep fissures yawned between the clusters of otherworldly vegetation. The ambient light flickered intermittently as pulsating energy currents coursed through the landscape, casting fleeting shadows that seemed to move on their own. Every instinct screamed danger, yet the team pressed onward. It wasn't long before their worst fears began to manifest. Without warning, a section of the ground trembled violently, a prelude to a sudden rupture that sent a cascade of sharp, crystalline shards hurtling through the air. Jessica's quick reflexes saved them from immediate harm as she shouted, "Scatter!" The team dove for cover behind a cluster of enormous, spindly trees whose bark glowed with an unearthly blue hue. In the chaos, Jake's laughter rang out even as he scrambled to shield himself from the falling debris. "Only on Earth could a rock slide look like a fireworks show," he quipped, voice tinged with both humor and adrenaline. Mark's fingers danced over his wrist console as he recalibrated their instruments. "That wasn't a random tremor," he insisted, his tone shifting from playful to focused. "The planet is reacting to our presence. It's as if the very ground is alive and hostile." Emily crouched beside him, her eyes wide. "Maybe it's not just reacting, it's defending itself," she suggested softly. "Everything here has evolved to resist intrusion." Their suspicions were confirmed when, moments later, a massive, sinuous creature emerged from beneath a fissure. Its skin shimmered in iridescent shades of green and violet, and it moved with a fluid, unsettling grace. The beast advanced slowly, tentacles undulating as it probed the air. Jessica's heart pounded, yet her command was unwavering. "Steady," she ordered. "Remember, we adapt. We survive." As the creature loomed ever closer, Mark's scientific mind raced. "I'm detecting an unusual energy signature around it," he noted. "It might be using its bioelectric field to disorient." "Us?" Jake's eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and defiance. "Well, let's give it a taste of Earth ingenuity, then." He sprinted forward, feinting a charge that drew the creature's attention, while simultaneously drawing from his deep well of survival instinct. Emily, ever the dreamer, watched the interaction unfold with both fascination and dread. "Humans have always thrived in chaos," she whispered, almost to herself. "Our creativity is our armor." Seizing the moment, Jessica signaled a tactical retreat, but not before Mark initiated a desperate gambit. He had reconfigured a portion of their damaged equipment to emit a concentrated burst of electromagnetic energy. "This should disrupt its field long enough for us to move," he explained, sweat beading on his forehead as he worked feverishly. The improvised device pulsed with a harsh blue light that sliced through the creature's shimmering aura. Momentarily stunned, the beast recoiled, its undulating mass flickering erratically. "Now's our chance," Jessica barked. The team surged forward, using the brief lull to slip past the bewildered creature. They plunged deeper into the labyrinth of alien wilderness, each step a calculated risk. The encounter had not only tested their resolve, but had crystallized the central conflict. Nature on Xiphos 13 was not merely indifferent, it was actively hostile, an intelligent force capable of adaptive, lethal responses. As twilight descended in fits and starts, the landscape transformed yet again. Bioluminescent flora cast eerie patterns on the ground, and the air vibrated with an almost palpable tension. The team gathered at the edge of a vast, churning valley. AYE, natural amphitheater, where the forces of the planet converged with relentless energy. Here, beneath a sky streaked with erratic flashes of light, the true scale of their challenge became apparent. Emily's voice broke the heavy silence. "We've seen what this place is capable of," she said, her tone a blend of wonder and warning. "But every threat is an invitation for innovation." Her words, measured yet imbued with quiet determination, resonated deeply with her companions. They knew that the survival of their mission, and perhaps even the fate of Earth's reputation in the galaxy, depended on their ability to harness that same ingenuity. Captain Carter scanned the horizon, her expression hardening into a mask of resolute determination. "Oh, we're not just here to survive," she declared. "We're here to prove that Earth's spirit is unbreakable. Every challenge this planet throws at us is just another obstacle we'll overcome." Mark nodded, eyes fixed on the unpredictable valley below. "Our mission is to uncover the secrets of Xiphos 13, he affirmed, "but first we need to understand its nature. Every anomaly, every attack is a clue." Jake grinned, his earlier levity returning as a defiant spark. "Then let's collect those clues," he said. "Let the galaxy see that even when nature itself tries to kill us, we fight back with everything we've got." The team shared a brief, unspoken moment of solidarity, a silent pact forged in the crucible of survival. They were a motley band of Earth's finest, and while the hostile embrace of Xiphos 13 had not yet claimed them, it loomed as an ever-present adversary. Their path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, yet each step they took was a testament to the resilience and creativity that defined humanity. Standing at the precipice of the churning valley, with the alien night unfolding around them, they prepared to venture further into the unknown. The central conflict had been laid bare, a battle not just for survival, but for the very honor of Earth. And as the valley's dark maw beckoned them onward, the promise of both peril and triumph shone in their determined eyes. Their journey was far from over, and with every heartbeat the galaxy would learn that Earth was no Deathworld after all. The desperate urgency of their trek had led the team into a narrow valley cloaked in perpetual twilight. The storm's earlier fury was now replaced by an eerie, static tension, as if Xiphos 13 itself were holding its breath. Captain Jessica Carter's eyes narrowed as she studied the flickering readings on her handheld console. "We're nearing the target," she announced, voice low and determined. The Federation beacon, their only hope of unraveling the planet's secret, pulsed faintly in the distance, a lone beacon of clarity in a world intent on chaos. Dr. Mark Dawson stepped forward, squinting at the device's data. "The signal is strong, but Unstable, he murmured, fingers dancing over his scanner. It appears to be emanating from within what looks like a natural structure, a cavern embedded in a rocky outcrop. His scientific curiosity was mingled with unease as he added, "There's something off about the ambient energy here. It's not just geological, it's almost biological." Jake Lucky Reynolds grinned despite the tension. "Biological, huh? I guess that means we're not alone down here." His voice carried the familiar bravado, but even he couldn't entirely mask the gravity of the situation. Emily Hayes, who had spent the earlier hours marveling at the planet's hostile beauty, now looked on with a blend of fascination and dread. "If the beacon is in a nest," she said quietly, "then it might be guarded by something that considers this lair its own." They pressed on until the terrain began to open into a natural amphitheater. There, half hidden behind layers of jagged stone and pulsating flora, lay a vast cavern entrance. Jessica signaled for silence, and the team crouched low. Before them loomed a monstrous silhouette, a creature of titanic proportions. Its form coiled around a mass of organic debris that resembled a nest. Its skin glimmered in unsettling hues of metallic green and obsidian, and its multiple, glistening eyes surveyed the area with predatory intelligence. It was the guardian of the beacon, an apex organism that had decimated previous alien scouting parties, high above in orbit, unseen by the humans, but not by the galaxy's watchful eyes. Alien. Commanders observed the unfolding drama. Their high-tech drones transmitted images of this fearsome beast to a council that had long dismissed Earth as a death world. Now the aliens watched with growing horror as the humans prepared to confront a threat that even their most advanced expeditions had failed to neutralize. Jessica's mind raced as she considered their dwindling options. "This creature has claimed this place as its lair," she said, voice edged with both respect and defiance. "And if we're to retrieve that beacon, we're going to have to lure it away from its nest." Mark's eyes lit up with a dangerous glimmer of ingenuity. "I've been working on a modification for our equipment," he explained. "If we can repurpose a segment of our shield generator to emit a focused electromagnetic pulse, it might disrupt its sensory field long enough for us to create a diversion. Then we bait it," Jake added, his tone cocky yet resolute. "I volunteer to be the decoy." Emily, ever the mediator, interjected softly, "Jake, we all know you're fearless, but remember, this isn't just about bravado. We need a plan that minimizes casualties." Jessica laid a steady hand on his shoulder. "Your risk-taking has saved us before, but everyone will play a part. Mark, you set up the pulse. Jake, you draw its attention. Emily and I will secure the beacon once the creature is off its guard." Within minutes, the team set their plan in motion. Mark rigged a makeshift device from salvaged parts and reconfigured a portable energy cell, its blue charge growing brighter with every adjustment. With a final nod from Jessica, he activated the device. A concentrated pulse of electromagnetic energy erupted from their gear, sending ripples of interference through the humid air. The creature recoiled as its numerous eyes flickered in confusion, its sinuous body momentarily stiffening as the pulse disrupted its biological rhythms. Jake seized the moment. Sprinting forward, he waved a tattered flag fashioned from a spare top, a crude human symbol of defiance. The beast turned its attention fully upon him, lurching forward with terrifying speed. For a heart-stopping few seconds, the air vibrated with the sound of its advance, each thudding step echoing in the hollow chamber. Then, as if the pulse had worked its unpredictable magic, the creature hesitated, its trajectory faltering. "Now!" Jessica shouted. With coordinated precision, she and Emily dashed into the heart of the cavern, where the beacon lay partially obscured by overgrown bioluminescent vines. Their boots crunched over scattered debris as they worked swiftly, prying the ancient device from its natural cradle. Mark's fingers danced over the controls, stabilizing the beacon's signal so that its steady pulse could be transmitted back to Federation command. The creature, now fully aware that the diversion was temporary, roared in fury, a sound that reverberated off the cavern walls like a dirge for lost worlds. Jake, his muscles straining, dodged a sweeping appendage as he maintained his role, drawing the beast's wrath away from his teammates. Every muscle in his body tensed as he wove through the debris, a living embodiment of Earth's reckless ingenuity. Outside, the alien overseers in orbit exchanged panicked signals. Their sophisticated algorithms, once certain of Earth's fragility, now registered an anomaly. The humans were not only surviving, they were turning the tables. Fear, a concept previously foreign to the alien commanders, began to seep into their strategic calculations. Their monitors showed the creature retreating slowly back toward its lair, battered by the electromagnetic onslaught and the unyielding spirit of humanity. Inside the cavern, as Jessica secured the beacon in a protective case, the team took a brief moment to breathe. The immediate threat had been subdued, if only temporarily. Emily's eyes shone with a mix of relief and quiet triumph as she said, "We did it. We outsmarted the very nature that was supposed to crush us." Mark nodded, already analyzing the data streaming from the beacon. "This isn't just about retrieving a device," he observed. "It's proof that human adaptability isn't a myth. It's our greatest asset." Jessica allowed herself a rare, small smile as she surveyed her team. "Today we've shown the galaxy that Earth isn't the meek, doomed world they thought it to be," she declared. "We've faced down nature's fury and emerged stronger. But this is only the beginning." Her gaze swept over the darkened expanse beyond the cavern entrance, where unknown threats still lurked in the alien wilderness, as the beacon's steady pulse echoed like a beacon of hope through the corridors. Of space, the team prepared to make their way back to the dropship. The creature's roar had faded into a distant, menacing rumble, and the valley seemed to exhale a temporary sigh of reprieve. In that charged silence, every member of the team felt the weight of what had been accomplished and the looming promise of further challenges. The aliens, now forced to reckon with the unexpected tenacity of humanity, had tasted fear for the first time. And in that moment, the balance of power in the galaxy began to shift. The beacon was more than a relic of Federation technology. It was a symbol that Earth's legacy, of grit, creativity, and indomitable spirit, was alive and unyielding. With the retrieved beacon secured and a new understanding forged among them, the team stepped out of the cavern into a night that glittered with strange stars. The battle had been won today, but the war for Xiphos 13 was far from over. As they moved forward into the unknown, every heartbeat reminded them that the galaxy was watching, and that Earth, against all odds, was ready to fight back. The dropship's engines hummed softly as the team emerged from the cavern into an alien dawn. The beacon, now securely fastened in Jessica Carter's satchel, pulsed steadily, a rhythmic testament to the survival and ingenuity of Earth's finest. High above, in the vast depths of interstellar space, a cadre of alien commanders watched with mounting disbelief as data from the beacon began streaming into their central archives. For years, Earth had been dismissed as a wild, inconsequential backwater, a death world of primitive, self-destructive creatures. Now the very signal of human resilience challenged that dismissive certainty. Captain Carter stood at the threshold of a narrow ridge overlooking a sprawling valley. Her eyes, hardened by the rigors of battle, swept over the landscape with an intensity born of purpose. "This beacon isn't just a relic," she declared, her voice clear against the soft clamor of the dropship. "It's our proof that Earth's spirit cannot be subdued." Every syllable resonated with the weight of countless struggles. Each step taken on Xiphos 13 was a step toward rewriting the galaxy's assumptions about humanity. Dr. Mark Dawson, still reeling from the adrenaline of their recent encounter, adjusted his glasses as he examined the device's steady pulse on his portable console. "I've isolated the signature of the beacon," he announced, his tone a blend of scientific precision and unspoken triumph. "Its energy pattern is unique, adapted, almost evolved in response to the planet's hostile environment. It's proof that our technology isn't merely surviving, it's learning to thrive." His analytical mind, always searching for patterns, now saw in the data a mirror of human adaptability, a challenge that Earth had met with relentless creativity. Beside him, Jake Lucky Reynolds offered a lopsided grin that belied the danger they had just faced. "I've got a new nickname for the galaxy now," he quipped, a spark of mischief glinting in his eyes. "They're going to call us the Unexpected." underdogs. Even in the midst of high stakes, his irreverent humor provided a counterpoint to the gravity of the moment. Emily Hayes, her face still aglow from the glow of bioluminescent flora and the rush of near-death encounters, added softly, "Humans have a way of turning our vulnerabilities into strengths. We're not the meek ones they thought we were." Back, aboard the dropship, the team assembled around a makeshift console that relayed the beacon's readings to the distant Federation command. On screens flickering with cosmic data, alien analysts watched in real time as their preconceived notions of Earth were dismantled piece by piece. Their earlier dismissals, the cold calculations that Earth was a primitive, self-absorbed species, were now unraveling. The aliens had relied on technology and centuries of accumulated arrogance to predict that no species could harness chaos and transform it into a strategic advantage. They had underestimated human ingenuity at their peril. In a hidden chamber aboard an orbiting flagship, the Alien Council erupted in heated debate. High-ranking officers, whose sleek forms and polished voices had once exuded unwavering confidence, now spoke in hushed, urgent tones. "It appears the humans have achieved what none of our teams could," one commander admitted, his words laced with a rare strain of uncertainty. "They've not only survived Xiphos 13, they've manipulated its very nature to their benefit." Another, more measured voice countered, "This beacon is more than a tool, it is a declaration. It tells us that Earth's people are capable of adaptive warfare and innovation under conditions that we assumed would render them extinct." The Alien Council, steeped in a tradition of dismissiveness, now found itself forced to reckon with a species that defied every preconception. As the dropship began its slow ascent back to orbit, Jessica gathered her team for a final debrief beneath the star-scattered sky. The air was cool and electric, filled with the promise of new challenges and the satisfaction of a hard-won victory. "Today we've shown that nature, no matter how fierce, can be outsmarted by determination," she said, her gaze steady and inspiring. "We've secured the beacon and, with it, the truth about our capacity to adapt and overcome." Mark's fingers tapped the console in a rhythm that seemed to echo his thoughts. "Our next step is to analyze these findings and broadcast our message to the galaxy. Let our story be a beacon for those who would underestimate us." Jake clapped, his hands together, his usual bravado now tempered by a newfound respect for the stakes at hand. "Let them watch. Earth is not the Deathworld they once believed it to be. We're the ones rewriting the rules." Emily, ever reflective, added, "Every challenge, every threat on this planet has forced us to innovate. We're not just surviving, we're evolving into something greater." Her words carried the subtle melancholy of battles fought and the quiet hope of a brighter future, a future in which Earth would be seen not as a fragile outpost, but as a formidable force capable of inspiring awe. The beacon's steady pulse, a metronome of human resilience, continued to send its signal across the void, a silent call that reached into the farthest reaches of space. On Federation monitors, analysts began to question their long-held biases. The image of Earth as a chaotic, unpredictable, and ultimately doomed world was shifting, replaced by one of unexpected resourcefulness and indomitable spirit. For the first time, the galaxy saw not a backwater civilization, but a species that could harness adversity as a catalyst for progress. As the dropship docked with the orbiting command vessel, the team disembarked with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. Their mission on Xiphos 13 was not over. The challenges of deciphering its secrets and the implications of their victory lay ahead. Yet in that moment, standing together as they stepped into a chamber buzzing with interstellar transmissions, they knew that everything had changed. Earth's legacy, long marred by dismissal and underestimation, was now poised to claim its place among the stars. The beacon they carried was more than a piece of salvaged technology. It was a symbol of human tenacity, a promise that no matter how hostile the environment, no matter how ruthless the opposition, humanity would always find a way to endure. With the first phase of their mission complete, and the galaxy's eyes slowly turning to reconsider its prejudices, the team moved forward into the next chapter of their journey. Their steps were measured, but their resolve was unbreakable. The war for Xiphos 13 had transformed into a battle for for recognition, a battle that promised even greater challenges and triumphs ahead. And as the crew prepared to launch their next maneuver, the beacon's pulse beat on, a steady, unyielding rhythm that echoed across the cosmos, heralding a new era for Earth. The story was far from finished, but one truth had become abundantly clear. In the crucible of adversity, humanity's spark had ignited a fire that would burn bright enough to reshape the very fabric of the galaxy.